So welcome everyone. I'm happy that you guys have decided to be participant of the spoken words. Today we have amazing poets. Each one of these poets brings something different that will make you feel a lot of emotions. Um, uh, in times like this with the Black Lives Matters, a lot of people had learned and has show their frustration, their pain, but also their pride in their color through even going to rallies, talking on behalf of the Black Lives Matters. But these poets have shown it in a different way, which is through their talent. Um, I always like to remind people that we have been going for centuries. The color of our skin has been seen as a weapon. And today, we're going to learn more about how beautiful our skin is and how proud we are to have this beautiful color skin. It's very emotional, I think, because each one of those poets they're so wonderful. And I had worked with them prior, and I cannot tell you enough how amazing each one of them are. Today, our agenda, we're going to have 2 rounds, just in case you're a little bit late. You can enjoy each one of them. And also at the end, we're going to have a Q&A. So if you guys have questions for our poets, you guys will have the opportunity to learn a little bit more of each one of them and ask questions if you like. So I actually was going to wait for a little bit more, but I think that we have enough people and I know that everybody's excited. I'm also gonna ask if you guys like what you guys are listening to, because we cannot scream or snap our fingers. I'm gonna ask for you guys to use your reaction buttons and clap if you like. Put a thumbs up. You can also heart it. And you can use your emojis, because I think that our poets should feel that kind of love coming from you guys. So let's start this. So I don't know if you guys, I told you my name. My name is Yahaira Rodriguez. I am the ESP at large for the executive. And I'm a woman of color, as you can see. And I want you guys to just enjoy each one of our poets. And thank you, they're absolutely amazing. So I am going to start our first round with Ashley Wonders.
Hi y'all. I hope my phone's not gonna fall. Sorry. So I'm gonna read one of my new favorite pieces, and forgive me that I'm reading from like my notebook, but this poem is called a disciple poem, so it was very difficult to write, and it's all about syllable count, which is 13 syllables for odd numbers and 16 syllables for even. Black be beautiful, glowing, tough as nails, blessing. Black be not definition, a creation deserving of praise. Breaking of self-revelations, trauma must be healed. We are the epitome of language, dress, fascination. Black be not definition, a creation deserving of praise. Women be the epitome of love, joy, found in our smiles. We be hated for living, loving a lot harder than we should sometimes. We don't owe anyone a damn thing, not time or explanations. Breaking of self-revelations, trauma must be healed. Black women possess their own magic. We've always been enough here. Soak in the presence of our essence. If it's good as God, forever resilient, power in a Black woman's eyes. Black be not definition, a creation deserving of praise, as God, forever resilient, power in a Black woman's eyes. We don't owe anyone a damn thing, not time or explanations. Black be beautiful, glowing, tough as nails, a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. That was absolutely amazing. This is how we started. Yes, thank you. So I actually I would like for Chosen to give us a little bit of explanation of what is chosen words, spoken words, I'm sorry, Because I feel like people didn't know, and I was guilty of that. I didn't understand what was spoken words until actually I heard Ashley. So, Chosen, why you don't come and tell us a little bit what is spoken words, and then we'll continue with the performance.
Hello, beautiful people. How's everyone doing today? All right. So, in short, spoken word is a poetic performance. It really includes reciting poetry out loud. A lot of times you'll see artists incorporate like jazz or hip hop or even dance. With spoken word, you just have the freedom to be creative and freedom to really express yourself. You could talk about whichever topic that's important to you that you feel like the audience will be able to connect to. So, in short, that's what spoken word is.
Thank you, Chosen. And before we actually continue, I do see somebody that I would like to introduce, our MTA president, Merrie Najmy. There you go.
Thanks, Habibi. Hi, everybody. My name is Merrie Najmy. I have been an elementary school teacher for 30 years. I have taught everything kindergarten up to 3rd grade. I know some of your faces, but it's completely exciting to see other people that I haven't met. I'm starting my 3rd year as the president of the MTA, and we are really trying to revolutionize what it means to be a union. We're really trying to build a union that is about the common good, that is deeply anti-racist and anti-bias. I'm Arab American, and I grew up with Dick and Jane as my reader. And for those of you who are too young to know Dick and Jane, it was the epitome of white supremacy culture. It was a family with a dog, 2 boys and a girl, and everything was proper and ordered and quiet and disciplined. And that was so unlike my Arab family, which was loud and messy and musical, and, you know, girls hold hands and boys flirt with each other when they dance using the drum. And it was marginalizing. And I used to, as a kid, scribble in the book and make faces. And I didn't understand my rage with Dick and Jane until I actually became an educator. And that was at the height of the multicultural education movement. And I began to realize it was feelings of alienation and marginalization. It wasn't that I wasn't popular. My father was an educator, and everybody knew me and I knew everybody. It just was feelings of alienation, right? Poetry does the exact opposite, and the different arts do the exact opposite, whether it's music or poetry or spoken word. It's designed to pull people in. It's designed to make visible the identities of people who we've marginalized through our curriculum. And so it's been exciting that I've been able to push a vision into MTA with our teaching and professional learning division, where we're really starting, and I see Mary Jo Randan here, she's part of that work. And I see a lot of our members from the Race Task Force. We are trying to find different venues through our union organizing, be it in the struggles in the building to become anti-racist struggles, or be it through our training and professional development department, which is teaching educators to understand what a critical pedagogy is and how to bring that into our instruction and our practice, or supporting our rank and file like Yahaira, who's bringing voices in that are youth, who aren't even part of the union. But the union has to be a vehicle that's not just for those who pay dues. It has to be the vehicle that builds a social movement that brings communities together, that starts to lay down the demands that we have for our communities and our societies, and that uses every tool that we have to bring change. And this is such an important tool because it moves everybody, right? You don't have to be a spoken word artist to be moved by spoken word. You don't have to have a semblance of art in your body to be moved by it. So I'm excited to be with you. I can't stay the whole time, but I want to stay for as long as I can. So thank you for giving me a couple of minutes to say hi.
Thank you, Mary. Wow. So Mary, I'm going to continue with the performance. I think you're going to be absolutely inspired by each one of them. And I'm going to go to Amanda Shea.
Hey y'all, hey. My name is Amanda Shea. I just want to thank you, Yahaira. I want to thank Ashley Wonder. I want to thank MTA for having me here. I'm truly honored. So Black Lives Matter, pandemic, right? We're just going through a lot. So I wrote this piece. It's called Resilient. Shout out Ashley Wonder, who said resilient a couple of times in her piece. I think it's fitting. It's basically, it started off where I had an event where it was about empowering Black women, and it just made me think about my mom, and then it made me think of Black and brown women who are constantly having to be strong, right? No matter what the burden is, no matter what you're going through, sometimes you don't even get checkups or check-ins. People are just like, oh, they're strong, they can handle it. So this piece is dedicated to all my Black and brown women out there who are suffering in silence, who are going through some things and do not necessarily get checked in on. You are strong, you are worthy, you are deserving, we see you, and we love you. So without further ado, here's my first piece, Resilient. We go on and on and on. We go on and on and on. We go on and on and on.
Amanda, you muted yourself.
Oh, I muted myself. I'm sorry. Sorry. I was getting a phone call. We go on and on and on. We go on and on and on. Resilient. The saying goes, when the tough get going, the going get tough. Must not have met my mother. The scars she bears are invisible. Only those with the third eye could see. You see, her body is strong, agile, but weakened by her experiences. Black women are to only be strong, no complaints, no check-ins, only checkups to ensure the body is intact. Heavy the head that wears the crown, but I see it slipping. Weight on her shoulders, she carries worlds around. We simply orbit in her universe, even when she's lost in her own space. Who will carry her burdens? I mean, her anger, her depression, her anxiety, her bipolar, her wallet. She don't need no man, but society's price tags tells her different stories. One's filled with fairy tales unbeknownst to her, for she's a dollar in a dream mentality. Don't worry, I got this swag. I can do bad all by myself, no 2 cents to rub together, but rubbed out meals. Who will nourish her soul? It's tired, been beaten, but not by life, by family who cast her away, didn't want her to help her rewrite her wrongs, running away from generational trauma. She's out of breath. Panic attacks her nervous system. Like a baby she births, she self-soothes. Resilient. Black women overcome so many obstacles. And when asked, how are you? They reply, my mother replies, I'm fine. Thank you.
Wow. Just, you guys always make me cry. You guys make me feel so many emotions, and what can I say? That was absolutely amazing, Amanda. Thank you. So we are going to continue, and I would like for Chosen.
Hello, beautiful people. Can everyone hear me okay? Hear me clearly? Okay, perfect. Thank you, MTA, for having me, and for you beautiful individuals, you know who you are, who connected me to this opportunity. I really appreciate it. So this poem that I wrote this during a time in my life where I felt like I was just giving my time and myself into different aspects of my life, and I was just waiting for the time that I could just relax and just enjoy all the hard work that I put into this, like I say, garden. And I feel like this can easily relate to everything that's happening now when you see racism and discrimination. As individuals, we try to do all that we can to bring about change. As communities, we try to do all that we can to bring about change. And sometimes you get tired and you wonder like, when is change gonna happen? So I hope you guys enjoy this piece. Today it rained again. The seeds of effort that I planted are still asleep. They have not awakened from the rain tap of my tears. I anticipate the day when they will rise, and the weeping that endured in the night will tremble at the sight of excellence. I anticipate the day when I will rest in my garden. I will not forget the seeds of effort I once planted. They did not awaken from the rain tap of my tears. I anticipated the day when they would rise, and the weeping that endured in the night would tremble at the sight of excellence. I anticipated the day when I could rest in my garden. The seeds enriched with faith shimmered in the sun's grin. I fought on my knees days and nights, cultivating this land that I saw fit for perfection. My hands ached from the bondages of doubt I had to free myself from. I grew weary. At times, consistency was a foreign island, but the river of tears was the perfect route to get there. That route was something that I mastered. After that long, lonely journey, the place where I hoped to find rest looked like a war zone. The walls of my mind, my home, were decorated with splatters of doubt. House cleaning couldn't hush the screams of the fear of failure. Strength was shattered with no sign of forced entry. Broken dreams were sprinkled on the floor. They no longer looked like something to embrace, but something to avoid. The reflection of the pieces looked more like reoccurring nightmares slicing the bottoms of feet. The lights of inspiration flickered on and off, on and off. The connection to the source dwindled. That's why they weren't shining as bright. That did not feel like home. However, that was home, and that was my garden. That was my mind, and that was parts of my life that I dedicated my time to. I cannot count the amount of times my prayers banged on heaven's gate like a 911 call in a grieving night. I cannot count the amount of times I called God not knowing what to do. I didn't know if I would even reap. I didn't know if I would reap even though I sowed. I didn't know how to tend to my mind where daydreams drowned in night's reality. I didn't know that it was okay to feel. I didn't know that I would learn how to heal. I didn't know that there was something beautiful growing underneath that soil that my physical eyes could not see. Each day and night I fought on my knees with my aching hands clasped, pleading to God for a breakthrough. He already went before me and was preparing to make visible that secret garden. Now, that journey that felt long and lonely was a blessing in disguise. You see, time and solitude are recipes for self-reflection. I found healing. I found discipline. I found breakthrough. Find healing. Find discipline. Find breakthrough. That island of consistency was a beautiful reminder that self-care should be a constant practice. Self-care is a constant practice. A battle in the mind doesn't have to end in a loss. Reprogramming is vital in order to be resilient. The process isn't always a quick house cleaning type of thing, but an examination of the root, a cleanse of the core. Perception changes when you know that you will reap what you sow. Time is the main ingredient in all good things. To everything, there's a season. And regardless of the season you find yourself working in, God is the shelter, sunlight, and sanctuary. And to bear witness to an answered prayer will make those late night calls in the dead of night worth it. To bear witness to the goodness of God, even when you don't get your desired outcome, will make those late night calls in the dead of night worth it. Regardless, those late night calls in the dead of night, they're always worth it. Thank you.
Wow. Oh my God, you guys. That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. You guys are so talented. Oh God. I always get so, I normally talk a lot. For those who know me, I talk like a lot, but you guys find a way to just, I don't even know. I lost it. Okay. So I am going to continue with one of my dear friend and a mentor to me who I look up to as a leader, Saul Ramos.
Thank you, Yahaira, and thank you, MTA, for the invitation. My name is Saul Ramos. I am a paraeducator in the Worcester Public Schools, and I'm also the artistic director of an organization called Arte Latino of New England, based out of Providence, Rhode Island. Today, I'm going to do a piece called Endless Nights, Endless Fights. It is bilingual in some parts, because to me, it's very important and a very important part of my heritage. As some of you may know, others may not, but being from the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, I am a mix of Taino, of European and African descendants. So, and I wrote this piece during the pandemic when I was, as most of us, closed up in our homes and with a lot of my thoughts. So it's a little bit long, so bear with me, but it's also a very personal poem, personal piece. So thank you again. So endless nights, endless fights. 1 in the morning, as I soar through a yunque on the wings of the notes of una guitarra, I hear the whispers of my ancestors. I see the love Gaia has for Puerto Rico, our Isla Bonita. I smell the early morning rising of pan sobao and café made on un fogón. As I am about to wrap myself in the petals of the flowers of un flamboyant, I am awakened suddenly by a fire in my wrists. I wonder, what, are they furious with my lack of writing? Are they trying to let out words that my lips do not speak? Or are they simply yearning to find relief in a small orange plastic bottle with a Caucasian cap? If I shake them, they almost sound like maracas. They say I have the Carlene syndrome, another illness brought and named by another colonizer. Is this why I am in such pain? But it is none of these. It is the endless miles of shackles that run through my blood, that cry with every breath. When will they simply let us be? When will they stop hurting us? When will Matainos and Africanos finally be free? When will my people finally be free? 2 in the morning, I awaken trying to catch my breath. Did I have another nightmare? Did the Españoles take me from my mother's arms once again? Did they catch my father as he ran for freedom through the moon's light? Did another knee law-enforced death put another finger on the lips of our black and brown skin? Was it simply my longtime companion, asthma to you and me, the least of my worries? I could take a puff or two of the gray encased device that has kept me from going to the ER on a number of occasions, but do I really want any more of that sweet evil in my body? While it does relieve my lungs, it also gives my heart a rhythm I do not like, and the drums fall silent. My doctor says to drink more water, but how can I if Flint is still the way it is, if water is life is nothing but a hashtag? He says to avoid chocolate, and I can't help but think if he does the same socially, or if it reflects his list of friends. He advises me to avoid dust, but my world is full of empty dreams on shelves I have long forgotten to touch. He says to avoid animals, for they are the most harmful. And I ask, to which does he refer? The ones with fur and hair, or the ones that hide behind masks and tiki torches, and even the podium at a Caucasian house built by slaves? But it is none. It is the endless miles of screams that run through my blood, that cry with every breath. When will they simply let us be? When will they stop hurting us? When will my Tainos and Africanos finally rest? When will my people finally be free? 3 in the morning. A shadow crosses my room and I wonder, is that you, Frida? Finally coming to invite me to your cocina azul, where we will serenade each other over a cup of coffee and tres tequilas. How I long to hear your voice, to give you my every emotion in just one glance, to be the envy of those that did not appreciate you when you needed it the most. Or is that you, Julia, coming to take me to your Rio Grande de Loíza, so together, stripped of our clothes and biased onlookers, we can bathe in the sunlit waters of Taino tears, slowly letting a part of us drift to discover the secrets of the oceans, deep as a mother's love. The other, slowly taken to the skies, to see the whole world with every drop, to be loved by the lips of flora and fauna, to caress the bodies of dancers whose prayers will not be in vain. Or is that you, abuelita, viejita linda, my grandmother, still watching over me as you did in life? This is your room after all, and your altar silently accompanies me every night. Have you come to kiss my forehead and give me your bendición? Can I apologize for not writing you a poem? Can I tug at you one more time, tug at your bata, and ask you to make me un limber only the way you know how to? Can we fly off to Puerto Rico so I can help you pick coffee beans from the trees, collect mangoes to make jalea, to make pasteles en hoja, like in tiempos pasados, to plant more trinitarias, rosas, and encarnaciones, to listen to the songs of El Coquí y El Colibrí? Can I pray with you to La Virgen del Pozo de Sabana Grande, or to La Virgen de Guadalupe, or even to El Sagrado Corazón de Jesús? Can you stay for one more minute? Can you, please? My eyes are dry, yet I feel the moisture from within. Are the shadows finally coming to life? Or is it the glaucoma begging for relief? One nightly drop at a time. But it is none. It is the endless miles of tears that run through my blood, that cry with every breath. When will they simply let us be? When will they stop hurting us? When will my Tainos and Africanos finally rest? When will my people finally be free? 4 a.m. I awaken with pain on my back, knees, feet, and legs. Is the house on fire again? This time, did I not wake up in time to save my familia? Or did the European ancestors find me and are clawing on my strength? And am I running through El Campo, stepping on a monigrivi? Did I step on a mound of hormigas bravas? Did el colonizador whip me because of a poor excuse for manhood that did not function again? Is he craving chocolate? Are the scars of generations lost manifesting on my skin? Are my legs slowly dying? As I open my eyes and reach, I pull back. Instead, should I reach for my diabetes controlling meds, or for the cream in a soft Caucasian tube with a blood red stripe that will relieve my psoriasis? Or should I simply let it be? This pain is nothing compared to that of my ancestors. Which of these will be the demise of me? But it is none. It is the endless miles of slashes that run through my blood, that cry with every breath. When will they simply let us be? When will they stop hurting us? When will my Tainos and Africanos finally rest? When will my people finally be free? 5 a.m. I awake one more time. I am grabbed by a hand and tugged towards warmth. Part of me wants to open my eyes. Part of me wants to run blindly towards a colder climate. Part of me wants to simply give in. Part of me wants to go back in the closet. As I open my eyes, I see my partner, his embrace ever so tight. Even in his sleep, he senses my hurt. He protects me. He loves me. He still sleeps, but his lips remind me of his soothing words that no medication can compare to. Te amo, papi. And I simply whisper, te amo, cutie. To think that this is all possible in the privacy of our home, the largest walk-in closet I've ever been in, yet no one envies. I think of and thank Marcia. I say her name. If I could have one conversation with her, I am sure I could find the strength to fight harder and more openly, not entirely for me, but for all the generations to come. So why am I awake? Is it the guilt, the pride, the wondering what more could have been done for Alexa, the being a minority within a minority? Is it the struggle of intersectionality? Is it the feeling of not belonging or being excluded from the family, but not from la familia because of the color of my skin? But it is none. It is the endless miles of beating, spit, stabbing words, and deaths that run through my blood, that cry with every breath. When will they simply let us be? When will they stop hurting us? When will my Tainos and Africanos finally rest? When will my people finally be free? 6 in the morning. My alarm goes off, a loud and gentle reminder that I must face a colonized world. As I slowly get out of bed, my bones crack, my breath is rapid, my legs ache, and I let out a gentle cough. Could it be COVID? Or was this all a dream? A very bad dream brought to you by your friendly MAGA general and his paper towel bullets. As I pour my cafecito con leche and prepare for yet another Zoom meeting, I can't help but think, hi, who's there? Can you all hear me? Saul, is your camera on? My thoughts once again interrupted by another weekday. My name slaughtered, my smile forced to be switched on. Hello, I say. This is Saul. I'm here. Across the lines comes a cutting and quick, hi, Saul. How are you? I'm good, I say. Sorry, my camera is not working. And I mute myself. I mute myself like my ancestors were forced to, like I was, when she once asked if she could call me Jose because Saul was too hard to pronounce. Every press of the button is like a slash on my body, a tear from my past, present, and future. Another encouragement of their right fragility. As the day ends, I am looking forward to, yet afraid of, another night. How will the night be? Will I sleep through? Which of my ancestors will visit? And am I still worthy of them? Which of my fears will escape? What feelings will haunt me? As the sun sets, I listen to a little bit of Chavela, the Two Rocíos, Arjona, Sanz, Montaner, and even a little bit of Conejo Malo. He's right, you know, yo perreo sola, hasta en mis sueños. But whatever the night brings or does not, I will continue to believe. I will continue to journey through the endless miles of ancestors, through the shadows and liberations that run through my blood, that cry with every breath, until they simply let us be, until they stop hurting us, until my Tainos and Africanos finally rest, until my people are finally free. Here is to another endless night. Here is to you, my friends, my compinches, my heroes, my familia. Here's to us, here's to we. Fuerza, ya pronto seremos libre. We will be free. We will be. We will. We. Thank you.
How do you talk after that? Saul took me directly to my island, to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is such a beautiful culture and a connection, and each one of the little, if it just took me there. It took me to my grandmother's house, to the coffee that you smell, being a little girl running to get some pan, which is like that bread that only Puerto Rico, I don't know. So you're absolutely amazing. Thank you. I hope everybody's enjoying this. So let me know that you guys are awake. Thank you. Wow. So that was our first round. Can you believe that? Only first round. And I'm cheering up here. And I decided not to use a lot of makeup because I know how it was going to go. So let's go to the second round. And I would like to start with Chosen.
So that was beautiful. Oh my gosh, I mute myself like my ancestors. That was deep. All right, so this last poem that I'm going to share with you guys, I'm trying to address the symbolism in the color Black. A lot of times, for some of us, for some individuals, they use this color coding. And what the color coding does, it projects attitudes and perceptions towards a racial group. So I just wanted to address that in my poem. If it's a little intense, you can feel free to just step away. I completely understand. Black skin treated like a curse, like it's magic, Black magic, like it can only be found in the midst of a chance and blood, a chance and blood. There's 100% chance that the blood that flows underneath this Black skin means that I have a life worth living. Can you believe that? Black like a black cat's bad luck, black. Dirty, undesired, toxic, death, mourning, aggression, rebellion, fear, the end. Black life is the bad life, full of struggle and dark times, never ending like the midnight sky, and the only sign of success is rare like a shooting star. Black families, not as strong as the black bars that cage black fathers, criminals. Black mothers, single welfare. Black children, broken homes. Black neighborhoods, violence, unsafe. Talk black, and you constantly taste ghetto on your tongue, and you don't even know it. Many times, color coding projects perceptions towards a racial group. In this poem, I want you to understand the symbolism in the color black. Black. Some will say that black looks differently. It feels differently. They would use the word to describe an experience. Black like black dirt smothering a black coffin filled with a black boy's bones, phones, recording and sharing how the bullet, the knee, the words, the people, the spirit kill the innocent man who happens to be black. It's a fact that black women face racism and discrimination, but when we vocalize it, we're angry. That's that black stereotype that I'm tired of, just as tired as the black girl having to guard her tight coils springing from her scalp. Black, like the blindfold that looks like white privilege. I see the black smoke that the bombs of police brutality leave behind, an experience that is traumatizing. Black. Why is black considered bad? And white is considered the way, the truth, and the light. Now, I don't know who needs to hear this, but skin color doesn't make you holy, and it doesn't make you Jesus Christ, and I'll put up a good fight. So these black boys and girls can see that God created them more blazing than breathtaking fireworks. Your worth shines bright, bursting every day, regardless of the holiday. A month cannot capture the decades of black history. It cannot showcase the many black men and women who did influential things in this country, for this country. I will put up a good fight to remind my black men and women that we are kings and queens. You are a king and you are a queen, and you're a king, and you're a queen. Back then and now, we are still rocking these crowns and our black skin in all its glory. I'll run that race. Now, if color is used to represent race, then black. There's a story carefully sewn into this melanin. That's that black skin, black skin, different shades but same origin. Black, like black soil nourishing a plant as it grows. Black like a long Sunday service, unlocking the chains of sin, turning a sinner into a saint. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Ain't that the truth? Black. Like the ink written on degrees. You see, I'm talking about that black excellence, that intelligence, not a chance, and blood, just rhythm in our dance, and a lively beat in our drums. Black is life. Black is united. When we come together, the world has no choice but to listen. Black gatherings, culture. Black mothers, resilient, ambitious. Black children, legends. Black fathers, present, active. Black families, whole. Black love, possible. Black power, never ending, strength, sophistication, sleek, confidence, success, authority. Apparently, since color gives a meaning to race, if racism was a color, what would it be? Thank you.
Wow, I see a lot of people. Wow. Shows that was absolutely beautiful. I want the boys to look at the chat. People are going crazy with you guys. Oh my God, absolutely amazing. So the great thing is that, guys, if you stay with us, you will have chance to speak to our poets, ask questions. So when this ends, please don't leave. We have a lot of good things coming forward. So just to continue the good vibe, we are going to go with Ashley in our second round.
What's up, y'all? Sorry I'm charging my phone, so now it's like kind of weird. But I'm an educator in Worcester, and this is a vision that I've been trying to do for like many like years now, and you can't do it alone. So I was getting all emotional, just thinking about how long I've been trying to do this, and I feel very blessed to know Yahaira doing all the union work. So thank you for your friendship and support. And now I'm crying. So, but you can't do nothing alone. You got to have people, and just working in the system that we work with. It's a hard thing, and it's just dope to have people like Saul as well, and Merrie that understand the importance of this. So I'm gonna get into my last poem, and yeah. Ooh. It's called "Don't Hold Back." Somewhere I read the greatness of America was the right to protest for rights. MLK Jr. I can hear my neighbor crying, I can't breathe. Now I'm in the struggle land, I can't leave. We ain't gonna stop till the people are free. We ain't gonna stop till the people are free. They will ask us how we survived, how the stripping of our tongues, words from pens, truths on mics, they will ask, how did you survive the genocide? How can a country go back on its principles it was founded? Try to eradicate our speech. You can't erase us. We won't be silent. We remember the marches, stained bloody with our ancestors' souls. Don't you know the gathering of black and brown bodies always makes whites shake, make them cradle their privilege they believe don't exist? This is how you survive the impending genocide. You take the risk like Martin, Malcolm, the Panthers. Maybe it's why a bullet will always find homes in our flesh. We must be the change we continue to seek of our own liberation. Death is familiar when it's all you've ever known, spilled tragically of our blood. When did peaceful protest threaten your protection as white supremacists? Why does it scare you of what we've always done? Held our signs, marched, screamed from the depths of our amplified lungs, and all we want is equal. We're still fighting the same battles. What do you think will happen when you try to strip a poet of their voice, an artist of their brush? We were all made in the image of God to make this earth beautiful. There was beauty in this doom, this dark rising cloud of light to consume. They will ask us, how did we know the end was near? Weren't you terrified of the reaper? And we will tell them speaking out is the only way for change, that to speak any truth is always a receipt for death. But death don't scare melanin when it's all you've ever known as familiar. Murder is like an old friend. The ones who bleed you dry, the love in your heart, and don't make you feel no reaper, fascist, racist. It burns flames in your soul, something that we all know. We survived this genocide with our pens embraced together. Knowing you ain't gonna forget this melanin, this voice, our art. We be a phoenix burning up and resurrected. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. That was, I'm telling you, you guys are just amazing. And each one of you guys has such a different style that we are blessed to have each one of you guys today here. So I'm going to end our second round with Amanda Shea.
Hey, I'm back, y'all. Whoa. Okay. How do you spit poems after that? Like, how do you spit poems after all of that? Okay, okay. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Chosen. Thank you, Saul. Y'all are incredible, and you inspire me every single time that I hear you. Just, I'm like picking out words and putting them in the chat, just that like resonate heavy with me. So I just want to thank y'all for sharing yourselves, for sharing y'all souls, for just being absolutely incredible artists. I'm really grateful to know each and every one of you. Ashley, we go way back, so it's just beautiful continuing to build with you all. Thank you again, MTA, for this amazing experience. Oh, okay. I was gonna do a certain poem to end this off, but sometimes as an artist, you get inspired in the moment. Okay, so Saul, you talked about identity and where you come from. So I just want to end with one of my signature pieces that talks about identity and racism within my family that I've had to endure. So with that being said, this piece is called Origin. Got to get it all the way together. All the way together. Okay. Sorry, y'all. This is real in action, in moment. I can just feel the energy through this Zoom, and it's very overwhelming, but I'm going to try to get through this. Okay. I'll never forget the day I asked my mother, why wasn't I born white? The look on her face as if I slapped her with the years of oppression she's faced, she replied, Amanda, never say that again. My father, a strong, black, proud man, goes to the store, comes back with a kit to help me assimilate. As he sits me on the chair, he pulls out a jar of white cream. This was the beginning. As he applies this smelly chemical to my hair, I'm reminded of all the white girls in class asking me why my hair wasn't straight like theirs. Why is my hair so curly? As I slick back my hair only to display my waves similar to my ancestors' journey, I was embarrassed, yet this cream would allow my hair to be straight, the ability to blend in. One of only 3 black kids in my entire elementary school, being called names like porch monkey and nigger, growing up in Cape Cod, the arm on a map of a country that never embraced me in a hug. I didn't belong. Going to my grandmother's house at age 11 in South Carolina didn't help. I learned of the bigotry within my own family tree. No black blood allowed on these leaves. Portuguese bloodline was not supposed to be mixed with anything to remain pure. My genes were contaminated with black blood, so I'll never fit. Portuguese heritage was never to be taught to me. No culture, no recipes, no musical roots. Why does my family reject me? But my grandmama called me her brown sugar baby, obsessed with my skin tone. She embraced me because she broke the lineage chain when she made my mother with that black man. But my grandmother died before I ever got to ask her why she decided to make my life harder. I'm now in a household full of all white faces and I'm displaced. My school is predominantly black, dismissed by my own people due to my white proper voice. How do you sound white? How do you sound black? Color has no sound. If it did, what would that even sound like? My new nickname is Yellowbone and Mulatto. I'm now not black enough. My hair is too straight. No coils from my fingers to wrap around. Why do they discriminate against me? Haven't we, black people, faced enough? I'm tired. I'm tired of the disparities. Light skin versus dark skin, field versus house, but they want me to be pro-black though. According to them, I'm whitewashed. Colors should only be separated in washing machines. When will this cycle end? When will this cycle end? I just want to be accepted from both races. I am enslaved in my own skin. They tell me to go back home. But my body is my home. Why would I ever want to leave? Escapism isn't a choice for this vessel. I just want to belong. Thank you guys. Thank you all. Oh my gosh, thank you. Amanda Shea, like the butter, for all my melanated folks out there. Yeah, thank you all again. This was absolutely beautiful. I'm in my feelings, so I'm gonna just like mute myself now. Thank you.
What a way to end that. God, Lord. That was amazing. So I would like for our poets to write your information in the chat. And now we are going to go to the best part, which is everybody can ask questions to any of our poets. So if you have a question, please put your little emoji up and I'll try my best to find you guys so you guys can ask whatever you guys want. Let's see. I have Cedric.
Amanda, I'm inspired to learn about your background. I'm curious now that you're an adult. Have you had the opportunity to learn Portuguese or go to Portugal, Brazil, Angola, to learn the language or learn some of the literature, watch films, and Portugal has embraced a large. It has a multicultural society, a lot of African descent in Portugal and of course in the Caribbean and in South America and in Africa too. So I'm just wondering, now that you're an adult, have you had the opportunity, to see this other side of your family?
Thank you, Cedric, for the question. It's interesting that you asked me that because I have been digging more deeper into my roots. Unfortunately, while I was growing up, as you heard, my grandmother and my great-grandmother were the only people who really supported me and just being here. It's a weird experience or very like disheartening experience to grow up and not want to be wanted, right? So my mom was told to actually abort me and not have me at all. So just me being here is a blessing. And my mother wasn't taught the culture either because she's also Portuguese, but she has a Black father. So they discriminated against her as well. But me being the only brown skinned baby on that side, they were just like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So I've been looking into the roots. I've been doing my history, been watching videos. I'm from Açores, Portugal. So I do want to, take a trip there. I was actually planning to take a trip this summer, but due to COVID, I was supposed to go to Africa too, Kenya, Ghana, and Nigeria. For this African literary festival, and that was canceled too. But now just having my children and understanding that now they're actually multiracial as well. They're Puerto Rican, Portuguese, and Black. I think it's really important for them to understand where they come from. And it is my duty to now teach them, even if I don't have the complete tools, it is my duty to research everything. So I have been looking into the recipes, the food. I love me some kale soup. I love me some chorizo. I had quit eating meat for a little while, so I missed it. Chorizo and potatoes, Portuguese stew. And just like I have this app called Duolingo. I suggest it for people who are trying to learn a second language. It is absolutely incredible. I am fluent in Spanish, which is crazy because that's not my background, right? But both of my son's fathers are from Puerto Rico. So I was able to learn that. So it is important for me to just basically pass on that knowledge to them because I understand how important it is to just understand your origin. Because when we don't understand what our identity is, it's really, really hard for us to be comfortable in our own selves. So thank you for asking that question. If you have any links or anything, I'm going to put my info in the chat. So please feel free to connect with me and give me whatever you got. But the history is really hard because Portugal enslaved a lot of Africans. So yeah, it's really, really hard to just embody both nationalities and cultures because just being in my body feels like an abomination sometimes.
Thank you, Cedric. Thank you, Amanda. I know that sometimes it's very difficult to just talk about what hurt us, but I think it's also a great opportunity for us to connect and to create connections. The importance of culture, I always mention how important it is culture. I always tell my kids, I'm 100% Puerto Rican, nothing fancy, right? 100% Puerto Rican. But in my house, we listen to the music, the food, everything that connects me with my island is part of who I am. And when we move at the States, people are expecting us to, you can't be like, you're in America. Yes, I was born an American citizen also, but that doesn't take away that I'm Puerto Rican. And our connection to who we are is so absolutely important. And we should also encourage our students to have that connection with who they are, because we lose a little bit when we come over here. So I think we should be cautious about that. So thank you. Any other questions? No more questions? Nobody's curious? Educators are pretty curious. Why are you guys being so shy? No. So we don't have no more questions.
I have a question or a comment.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Unmute yourself. Yeah, there you go.
Hello. Hi, I'm Marguerite. Amanda, I just want to say that I understand all that you're feeling, and it's so important, especially when you are bicultural and biracial. It's very difficult. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. It's very difficult to find a identity for some of us. However, you need to be proud of who you are, because you are, not only are you different, but you have proud ancestry to look back on. And yes, I had to deal with only being one of maybe 10 in a school, of being a child of color and being properly spoken, because that was expected at home as well as at school. And then going into a high school that was, again, very few of us were of color in the school and in college. However, then when I went into the education, I was the only Black teacher in the school. So it's important, though, to be proud, because there are children who are coming into your classroom and coming into your school. They just are in awe that you are there. They're in awe that you stand proudly. They're in awe the way you dress, the way you present yourself. So it's so important that you stick to that, because they need to see that, because they hear the negative from our colleagues, unfortunately. They hear the negative from people within the environment, and they hear the negative from their students or their friends. So it's so important that we walk in there looking and acting proudly and knowing who we are. And I think the students need to know that, because they don't always get it through the books, unfortunately, but we need to have Black history taught at all grade levels, and not just American history. We should have both. I think that's so important. And many of us, and including myself, and I agree with you that I am of many cultures. So I don't identify myself as African American at all, because African is a continent and it's not a country. And I refuse to be called a continent when I am from a country. And that's what I expect. So kudos for having this spoken word. Gives people an opportunity to share their, not only just their knowledge, their dreams, their hopes, their feelings, and their artwork. You are artists, and don't ever forget that. Thank you for presenting this.
Marguerite.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you so much. Is it Marguerite or Margaret?
It's Marguerite. It's
Marguerite.
French.
Yes, I love it. I love that you said I am not from a continent, I am from a country. And you're absolutely right. So thank you for reiterating that, even for myself, because representation is so key. And we should be walking with our heads held high and
Absolutely.
making sure that we are representing who we are and what we stand for. Because actually, it's the irony of all this is I'm in the car because I'm on a field trip right now with my kids in from Mission Safe in Roxbury, all kids of color. They're so beautiful. And I teach poetry to them and public speaking. So we're kayaking right now. And we were having a conversation the other day about slavery, because some of the internships are on a farm. And I heard one of the children say, oh, we work in like we're slaves. And I was like, what? So immediately, yesterday's lesson was doing a historical view lesson on what it was like for slaves to actually be living on plantations. And they had to write a 3-paragraph paper on the comparative and contrast of what they see modern day slavery versus what their experience was on the farm. And let me tell you, they were like, I am so sorry that I said that. And I'm like, as you should be, because picking cotton for 13 hours is way different than you learning agriculture on the farm and how to grow and garden and do farm to table food than what they had to do. It was forced labor. So thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Hug.
Thank you, guys. I have 2 more. I have Deb, I believe, and then I have Valerie. Was that correct, Tom? You said somebody, Deb? I want to make sure.
I thought when you were asking if someone had a question, I thought Deborah had her hand up, and I just wanted to make sure that you saw her, but maybe it's incorrect. I'm sorry, Deborah, if I was wrong.
Hi, I think it's me, I think. I just wanted to, this is the first time I've ever, come into hearing you guys, and I just wanted to give you encouragement to please continue. This is wonderful. Especially, I'm a little bit older than you guys, more than a little bit. And it's so nice to see young people with all this enthusiasm, intelligence, just able to express yourselves the way you do. It brought tears to my eyes in a good way, sad, happy, all kinds of different emotions. So I'm just so happy to have been able to experience this, and I thank you for that, and I hope you will continue. And I hope I can somehow continue to watch and listen and learn, and hopefully maybe even put a little input in at times if I can. So thank you for that very much.
Thank you, Deborah. Now I have Valerie, and then I have Diane Pollard. Valerie, you're muted.
Yes, I thought you were going to unmute me, Yahaira. Yahaira often mutes me because I don't often step back. I usually step up all the time. Cedric knows that, and Katua. But I wanted to say, first of all, that I'm 69 years old, and all of you inspired me so much. The poetry is a personal musical rendition of the effects of strain and stress and love and joy, ups and downs, sadness and wellness. And as a victim of Me Too, I have a son. I was assaulted by 5 Black men, and I do not know the name of my son's father, but he turned out that was him in the picture with his son, as a recognition of his life and my grandson's life matter. But what I really wanted to say as a as a former slave descendant, unfortunately, unlike many of you, I have no culture. My culture was taken away from me. The food that I enjoy was the slave food. The music that I enjoy is slave music. The religion that I was grown up in was the religion forced upon my ancestors because their religion was taken from them. I envy the Hispanic and Portuguese and all of the ethnic communities, because like this woman said, when I was in school, my teacher, being one of the only white child in a system in Boston public schools where the school teachers, the union, and the city council and the school committee didn't want niggers in the Boston public schools. And I had to shake the hand of the city councilors who were prejudiced against me. I envy the fact that I have no true culture and that my culture is a culture of oppression. And I'm hoping that you, as I did in the 60s, being kicked at and spit upon and dogs chasing me, I hope now that your voices, your poetry, your commitment to the changes that will take place, I don't believe that I will be alive to see when Black lives truly matter. This fight has been going on since slaves sat in the congested, I can't breathe slave shits. So our ability to not breathe did not begin or end with George Floyd. It began during the arrival of slave ships. It's now during the coronavirus where Black and brown people are more affected by the I can't breathe disease. And when we all suffer that last place, shut out the light for me, let not the air seep in. The lid is fastened over me, I'm dead. And when I'm transitioned into that new place, and if I'm able to look down upon this earth, I hope that I will see a blended community of love, equality, inclusion, diversity, and justice. Thank you.
Wow, Valerie, thank you. Whoa. First
Thank
of all,
you,
69,
Val.
69 where? 69 where?
Right?
69 where? Like 69.
Stop it.
Thank you, Valerie. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
I just
Brought me
want
to
to say,
tears.
I was a good girl until I went to college. And if you're a good girl when you're young, you don't age as quickly. So for 20-something years, I was a very good girl. And then I went to college and I experienced life. So that's why it's not as wrinkled as maybe other faces are. And the melanin helps too.
Valerie, thank you. You have to be courageous to just say and share your experience with us. So we're blessed that you feel that this is a safe space for you to do that. So thank you. Chosen, what can you tell Valerie?
Sorry, you brought me to tears. Like, you brought me to tears. And I think you really brought up an important point, that everything that is happening now, it started way, way, way back then. It's not just now that all this stuff is impacting individuals, impacting communities. But I am truly inspired by your bravery. I am inspired by your transparency. I am inspired by the fire that is in you. You brought me to tears. Like, that was amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you and everyone else on here that created this safe space where we can just share our heart with you guys. Like, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Chosen. I have Diane.
Hi, everybody. I moved to Massachusetts 25 years ago, but I wasn't brought up here. I was brought up in the suburbs of New York, in Hempstead. That was a community that was made up of a lot of people that did not look like me. And I am ever so thankful for having had that experience, because I went to a high school where I was surrounded by empowered young Black women who loved their hair and loved their skin and worked hard and surpassed me in so many ways when they went off to college. And I am just so full today listening to all of you, because I am feeling that again. And not that I haven't felt that since that time, but I'm just so incredibly grateful to all of you for sharing your stories and opening your hearts in the way you have. And I was incredibly moved by all of your work. I was really brought to ugly crying by Saul's piece. And Saul, I was wondering if there was a way that you could is there a written representation of that someplace? Because I would love to go through. I'm not a Spanish speaker, and I would love to be able to go through and look up all those references in your work so that I could get feel the full impact of all of your words. So that was my question.
Yes, thank you, Diane. I really appreciate that. I'll put again my email in the chat. Just send me an email and I can send you the Word document where I have it. And if anyone else is interested as well, I can also share it there.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Diane, for your words. it takes a lot of courage to just come and say, right, how we feel in times like this when everybody is in tiptoes because of the judgment and the times that we're living. Is so amazing to just be able to have those conversations. I've been in tears since we started. And you guys continue putting me in tears, but it's tear of happiness. I love that we can just sit and listen to these poets and create that kind of connection. So Diane, thank you so much for being so courageous and speaking to us as well.
You are all so beautiful and you remind me of home. And it is just so wonderful to see all of your faces.
Thank you, Diane. So, wow. So, any other questions? I knew we were gonna get emotional. I knew, and I'm so happy that it went just like this. This is just beautiful. Any other questions for our panels or anything that you would like to express? Should we do we should do this more often. I think that we should do more poetry. What do you guys think? Yes, yes. I have a question, Jennifer.
I have a question. How do these artists use your work in education? Either in your own schools or visiting artists, or because, you know, my hope is that as we go back to school, right, that our schools will take on the mission of anti-racism and incorporate this into their curriculum. And I know that I might have a hard time stepping forward and asking students to write about some of this, but I'm wondering how you might suggest getting started or coming in and doing a workshop.
That's a great question. Actually, yes. I run a few workshops currently right now. Right now I'm with Mission Safe. I'm with Zoomix in East Boston, Mission Safe in Roxbury, Boston Post Poetry in Roxbury as well. My email is actually in the chat. I know that the other artists on here also run some workshops, so feel free to, you know, email us. Definitely come in and help you get started. I can also send you some curriculums that I use that can start like exposing them to just digging deep and having these types of conversations. I usually potentially start with like affirmation work and building as far as like identity and asking questions about where they're from, and then we build off of that. So feel free to email me personally or email, I know Ashley does work, I know Chosen does work. Email any of us and we can definitely point you in the right direction for sure. Because I think it's super important to have this in the schools. We're actually working on a project right now with Mission Safe. I'm just gonna step out the car because we're getting a little loud. I'm working on a project right now with Mission Safe, with the director of Mission Safe, where we're doing like a reimagining the future. So we're teaching kids how to do protest art and how to protest utilizing their art. So it's always good to help them amplify and highlight their own voices while also fighting against social injustice.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Amanda. If I can hear from Chosen, what would you guys suggest?
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer, for your question. I think it's also important to bring this into schools. Creative writing has many benefits. I've done a lot of group facilitation with the mental health with the population of individuals diagnosed with a mental condition and substance abuse. So it has a lot of benefits mentally. And I feel like bringing this into schools, it could really help the students to grow and teach the students how to really express themselves in school. A lot of times, you know, we see students, they may act out for many different reasons, right? And we don't understand why. It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you saying this? What's going on? And a lot of times it's hard for them to express how they are feeling. But with creative writing, you have that freedom to express how you're feeling. You have that that freedom just to share your story. So yeah, I mean, I do a lot of group facilitation as well as workshops. So my contact information is in the chat. You guys can connect with me as well on there. But I think that's amazing. You know, just bringing creative writing into schools. I think that's a beautiful thing. So yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Chosen, can we hear from Ashley and then Saul?
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on what Amanda Van Chosen said. It's all the same encompassing thing. You can start off doing like writing prompts. I do similar stuff, kind of what Amanda does with like self-empowerment, like understanding like your identity and how important that is, especially at the ages that they're at, where you're just lost. At least I was at that time. So that's how I start off doing workshops with the youth. All my information is in the chat, so feel free to, you can group message all of us. I don't mind taking time off and going out to Boston, okay? I don't mind doing that. And then it's just important, even giving them journals to write things down. They don't always have to like express it out loud, but if they want to just write it down, what that looks like to them, that's a good way to start as well. Even after school programs, that's if that could be a thing that could get started kind of like nationally, that would be like a really cool thing.
I think that they need something like this after, you know, the trauma of being in a quarantine and then witnessing and maybe participating in the protests is just so much to take in, you know.
It's so heavy. It's so, and I'm trying to get it done at North High. That was what I was actually working on with a teacher at North, and then freaking COVID happened, and now I'm like, oh, okay. So it'd be great to kind of collaborate with all of us to see how we kind of get that going everywhere.
Are you guys like aligned as a group? Do you have like a group, like the poets we heard today? Are you one group?
So they're not, but I have spoken with them, and I will be creating a Facebook page for all of them, and we will put all the information there. And we will be sharing, and I can even email, because I'm a MTA member, so you guys will see my face everywhere. I'm more than happy to share their Facebook page, and I really think it's something that we should push, not only at an MTA level, but also in our locals. It is important that we amplify our student voices, especially in times like this. So I'll definitely, I believe that there's gonna be a recording of this, but I can act for all the people that were here, and maybe I can send a link if that's okay with everybody as soon as I get the participant. Saul?
I was just gonna say really quickly, it's a great idea. I've actually seen it happen firsthand at some of the schools that I've worked in, especially middle and high school. It's really powerful. We've had, like, for example, invited a spoken word artist in and had them relate or share some of their pieces, and then help the students create you know, their own pieces. And it's really powerful because so much can come out of it, and you know, people can make it very personal and share things that they don't necessarily share with everyone. And let me just share really quickly, one of my schools that I was at, I think it was 11th grade, and one of the students, when he shared his piece, he actually shared the fact that he was a dreamer. So he's one of the students that was brought here at a very young age from, I believe it was Panama. And none of his friends knew this. No one. He spoke about his struggle and the fact that at that moment, everything that was for dreamers was being challenged, and he could be at some point be sent back to a country he did not know. He'd never really been to since he was brought here, and he really didn't know much of the language. So it opened up the eyes of the students, and it was just really a really powerful moment. And I think it changed a lot, you know, especially since we had a couple of kids in there who didn't understand about the dreamers and were a bit critical about it. And it brought them to tears, making them realize that one of their friends was something that they actually were criticizing. So it's really powerful, and I think it's a great idea, and it's well worth it.
Awesome. I'm hoping maybe, I don't know how you guys think in terms of remote learning, which seems to be the way a lot of things are going, but I'm hoping by the second half of the school year, we can be back in the classrooms, and that would be a great time. So
Jennifer, also, I think even with remote learning, we can tell our kids, you know, we have an opportunity, right? Because we had to give them that kind of like, we have an opportunity to also put our feelings of how do you guys feel about remote learning? How do you feel about the COVID? I saw a post and it was like a little journal, and every day you would ask them something different. I did something today that I normally wouldn't do if I was home. I did something today that I normally wouldn't do if I was at school. So I think there's so many ways that we can be creative and at the same time amplify the voices of our kids.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. I have Claudia.
Yes, I'm sorry. I wanted to, it's more respectful, right? If you can see my face. I just wanted to say thank you for this because I think it's really powerful. As I mentioned on the chat, but I feel like this is such a gift that we give to kids when we encourage them to be able to process their feelings, right? Like as a social worker, I see kids struggling with this anguish and this anger and this sadness and dissatisfaction, which, you know, I completely understand. They're completely right. I know my experience in high school, and it was a lousy one. And I struggled a lot with my identity and coming to terms with just being okay with being me. And I find it to be one of the most powerful tools to encourage kids to write in journals. I have had kids that never wrote any poetry and end up writing poems. So my office is decorated with their artwork and their poems. And I love when people walk in, you know, parents walk in and they're like, oh, can I read it? And I'm like, please do. And then we have a discussion about what they read. Of course, it's all with permission. I don't put anything out unless I get permissions. But I see that process of just kind of like liberating yourself when you start speaking your truth and sharing about your feelings. And instead of like having this pent up, you know, super strong feelings kind of like just digging at you, I see them opening up and lifting up and becoming like just more empowered and stronger. And it's amazing to see that growth in my students. So I plan to, you know, so listening to this, I'm planning to do more of that. We have an affinity group at the high school, Lexington High School. And I'm planning to do that more. So I had questions for all the poets, really. How do we integrate that into a group that's already established? It's an affinity group for students of color. And how do I incorporate that and do it in a nice way virtually, right? Like any advice, I'm open to it, please.
So can we start this way with Saul?
You know, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I will say that the times that we have presented it to our students, they're very...
You muted yourself, Saul. Saul, you're muted. Saul, estás muted. No te podemos escuchar.
Am I muted or did I stop?
You just mute yourself. You were enjoying what you were saying, but we couldn't figure it out. Ahora.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, I don't know if you heard any of what I said.
Anything.
You didn't hear anything? Okay, sorry. No, I was saying that, you know, when I've seen it integrated into the groups, the students are very welcoming to it because we treat it, at least the way I've treated it is, I don't present it as poetry. I present it more as a testimony or remind them, this is your work, this is your words, these are your feelings, and this is something that belongs to you to express to the world because it's really important. And, you know, I've seen it, you know, some kids are more open if, you know, well, if you say poetry, I think a lot of kids were like, oh, you know, they think of like poets from back in the 15th century. So it's the way you present it to them, and if you present it to them as well with a powerful piece, like one of my one of the poets on here today, I think that's a great way to start it off, because they love that. They love to see, once they hear them, I think that really brings them and lets them know exactly what spoken word is about.
Thank you. If I can go to either Ashley or Chosen.
Okay. Hi guys, can everyone hear me? Perfect. So yeah, I honestly feel like writing is an amazing outlet, whether it's writing poetry, songs, short stories, rap. I feel like it's an amazing outlet to, once again, express how you feel. So being a social work student, I'm currently in school for my MSW. I feel like when it comes to creative writing, it's a perfect skill to use to help cope and learn how to navigate through these traumas. So someone brought up a good point as far as like the pandemic, and then, we're dealing with racial trauma. So having a virtual event, I think that would be great. It would give the students the option to be seen or not seen. We know that you could turn off your camera at the bottom. Sometimes when you share in front of people or share your feelings, it can get really intimidating. So at least they have the option to do that as well. And it's also an opportunity for group healing. I feel like it's a good feeling. Good is not even the word. It's an amazing feeling to be able to heal with other people who are experiencing what you are experiencing. So I feel like doing something like this for the students is amazing. I'm all for it. So.
Thank you, Chosen. Amanda?
Oh, hey. Yeah, so I think for group sessions, I think the first thing that we could potentially do, or what I try to do, is, icebreakers. And like, to Saul's point, as far as like when you say poetry, kids are like, oh, because they do think of like the 15th century poets, right? But it's mostly like reminding them that we all have feelings, we're all humans, we all have emotions. This is just our way of getting that out and utilizing writing as a healing tool, pretty much. So icebreakers, some games actually. One activity we did to get the kids to write about Black History and Black History Month was, I call it the Goldfish Bowl game. So like you put a little bowl, you put in like names of very like inspired leaders that are like Martin Luther King Jr., Medgar Evers, Maya Angelou, Nelson Mandela, et cetera, and you put little like quotes that they made, or famous quotes that people may or may not know, and you fold them up on these little index cards, and you have the kids basically pick out a card, and then they stand up, they read it out loud. So that way, like, they're getting used to like not only public speaking and sharing with one another, but they're bonding through work that's not theirs yet. And then what you do is you have them interpret what that quote meant for them in their own words. So for me, it's like that's a little bit easier because I'm getting to hear their voices. If it's something like for remote, because I see somebody writing in the chat, sorry, so I'm like trying to do two things at once, but that's for in person, because it creates like a group atmosphere, but also allows them to kind of resonate with what they picked. And then for like a remote situation, videos and little games, like they have these games on the phones now that you use, and you can utilize them as educational tools too, and you put it on your forehead and you engage through Zoom in that way. And you can use the same kind of quote, you could kind of use it with anything really, but I use it with quotes, and they put their phones up to their head, so it's like fun and interactive, but at the same time they're learning, and then they're able to like come out and say, okay, this is what I interpret this as. And this way they can start getting used to the act of writing before it actually gets personalized for them in their own lives. That's all I.
Thank you, Amanda. Also, guys, think about not only create that with Martin Luther King or anybody, but bring it to the century today. There's a lot of Black Black women and men that are doing the work, and the kids can connect very easily with them as well. So play Kahoot, create your own Kahoots, and put little things that says, you know, who said this, and put it with like, even with basketball players or footballs or anybody that is doing the work out there. So guys, I see that everybody needs to go. It is 2:30. Thank you so much for being here. I know there's a recording coming to you guys. To the poets, thank you guys. You guys are amazing. And let's do this more often. Sending you all the good vibes and love over there. You have a great rest of your day.